Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast, special edition show where I go over the 2024 NCAA tournament bracket, and I'll do projections and picks, and we'll compare the bracket to my final projected bracket. So, I nailed 65 out of 68 teams. So that's good. Also, there are some teams I think were overseeded, some teams that were underseeded, and some teams that, were seeded just right. So without further ado, here we go. So the number one overall seed with a record of 31-3, the UConn Huskies. Well deserved. I got that prediction correct. They deserve it. And they'll be playing the Stetson Hatters. Stetson, obviously, ASUN auto bid. I had Stetson as the 16th seed in the West. So I had them in the right spot of the bracket in terms of overall seeding. Not in terms of overall seeding, but I had them in a 16th seed, but not in the right region. And then the 8-9 in that region is Florida Atlantic. They're 25-8, and Northwestern 21-11. I had Florida Atlantic as a 7th seed in the East region. I had a feeling that they were going to get overseeded because of the reputation from last year. And Northwestern, I had as a 10th seed in the East. So right regions, but one seed off each way. The 5-12 in the East is San Diego State, 24-10 against UAB, 23-11. I had San Diego State as a 4th seed in the Midwest, and I had UAB as a 12 in the West. The 4-13 in this region, I have the Auburn Tigers 27-7 against the Yale Bulldogs 22-9. I had Auburn 4 in the West, so that's close enough, and I had Yale 13 in the West. So it's funny, I had that matchup, but in the wrong region. They're 6-11, the bottom half of the East region. BYU Cougars 23-10, and then you have Duquesne at 24-11. I had BYU 5 in the East, and I had Duquesne 12 in the South. So one seed line off there, which I have no problem with. The 3-14 in this region, you have the Illinois Fighting Illinois 26-8, and then Morehead State also 26-8. I had Illinois 3 in the South, and I had Morehead 15 in the South. The 7-10 in this region is the Washington State Cougars 24-9 against the Drake Bulldogs 28-6. I had Wazoo 8th in the West, and I had Drake 11th in the South. So I did not have Drake as an at-large, but they are an at-large in terms of the bracket there. So they were not a bid thief. Not that they're bid thieves in the conference, but they're on the at-large side rather than the auto side, which is interesting. And I had Drake on the auto bid side. And the 2-15 in this region is the Iowa State Cyclones. I had the wrong Iowa team in my head. And then South Dakota State out of the Sun Belt, or the Summit League. Iowa State, there's some controversy with this. I had them second in the Midwest and the number 6 overall seed, and everybody was criticizing Iowa State seeding as the number 8 overall seed, 2 seed in the East, because they feel that they deserve better. I thought Iowa State deserved better too. But the non-con schedule killed them. And then their opponent, South Dakota State, I had as a 14th seed in the East. All right. To the South region. Your 1 seed, the Houston Cougars, 34 overall. And they'll be playing against Longwood, 21-13 out of the Big South. Houston, I had number 2 overall seed and the 1 seed in the South. Congratulations to me. Then Longwood, I think, got robbed. They deserved 14 or 15, in my opinion. 16, I think they get screwed. Longwood's better than a 16, so that stinks for Longwood. So that's the first seeding issue I have. And I keep going down the bracket, the 8-9 in the South region. It's Nebraska Cornhuskers 23-10, and then the Texas A&M Aggies 20-14 overall. I did not have Texas A&M in the field. I do not think they should have been in. 14 losses is generous for a 9 seed, let alone a team that should have been playing in the NIT. And Nebraska, I had as a 7 seed in the South region. So I don't have a problem with Nebraska's seeding. The 12-5 in this region, the Wisconsin Badgers, 22-13 overall. And the James Madison Dukes, 31-3 overall. I think James Madison and Drake should have been opposite. I felt that Drake should have been 11 in the at-large side, or I'm sorry, the auto side, and I think James Madison should have been an at-large. I actually had James Madison as 10th in the Midwest, 39 overall, and Drake I had 46th overall, 11 in the South. So they should have been opposites, and I think James Madison badly underseeded. They deserve to be at-large, which is absurd to me that they got snubbed like this. And then their opponent, Wisconsin, I had in the right spot, 5 seed in the South. The 4-13, I have the Duke Blue Devils as the 4, and they're 24-8 overall. Then Vermont, 28-6 overall. And I correctly predicted Duke 4th in the South. And then for Vermont, I had them 14 in the South, so 1 seed line off with Vermont. The bottom half of the South bracket, Texas Tech Red Raiders 23-10 overall, and the NC State Wolfpack 22-14 overall. NC State Bid Thief, I had them 11 in the South, and then Tech I had as a 5 seed in the Midwest. So I had no problem with Tech seeding. The 14-3 in this region is the Kentucky Wildcats 23-9, and the Oakland Grizzlies, Golden Grizzlies I think they are, they're 23-11 overall. The Wildcats I had as a 3 seed in the East region, and Oakland I had as a 15 seed in the West. Your 17 in the South, the Florida Gators, 24-11 overall, and they'll be playing the play-in winner of Boise State and Colorado. Boise, 22-10 overall. Colorado, 24-10 overall. In terms of seeding, there's controversy with Boise State being in Dayton. I actually had them in Dayton. I just thought they were a little overrated, and then they lost early in the Mountain West tournament. And because of the Bid Thieves, somebody good had to be in Dayton. And in Colorado, I had as a 9 seed. So they got dinked, obviously, for losing to Oregon in the Pac-12 tournament. Next, and to finish off the South region, Your 2 seed is the Marquette Golden Eagles, 25-9 overall. And then your 15 seed is Western Kentucky, who is 22-11 overall. Marquette, I had as a 2 seed in the West. No problem with them being 2 in the South. And then Western Kentucky, I had them a 15 seed in the East. So it's funny, I had Western Kentucky playing Creighton, but they ended up playing Marquette. All right, in the bottom right of the bracket, your number 3 overall seed, your 1 seed in the Midwest region, the Purdue Boilermakers, that's who I had at first in the Midwest region and the number 3 overall seed, so I got that correct. And they'll be playing the play-in winner between Montana State and Grambling. By the way, Purdue 29-4 overall. Montana State 17-17 overall. Grambling 20-14 overall. The funny thing is that I had both Grambling and Montana State in the first 4, but against 2 different opponents. We'll get to that in a second. And the other thing is that I had the regions wrong. I thought the South and the East were going to have those games, but it's going to be the Midwest and the West. So Grambling, Montana State's obviously in the Midwest. I had Grambling 16 South and Montana 16 East. And then the 8-9 in this region, they'll be playing in Indy, Utah State, TCU. We'll go over the first and second round cities when we do the picks. So Utah State is your 8, 27-6 overall, and TCU is the 9, 21-12 overall. I had Utah State on the 5 line, so I think they were grossly underseeded and did not recognize them for their regular season title. And then TCU, I had as a 9 seed in the East region, so no problem with TCU seeding. The 5-12 in this region, this is going to be a popular upset pick. The Gonzaga Bulldogs 25-7 overall, and McNeese and Will Wade 30-3 overall. I had Gonzaga as an 8 seed in the Midwest. I think they got a generous seeding because of past performance and favoritism. That's one of my big takeaways of the bracket, which we'll get to later. How much past year's performance dictated some of these seedings. I think Gonzaga is one of them. They're 5 in the Midwest, but I had them 8th in the Midwest. And then McNeese, I had as a 13 seed. I thought that they weren't going to get the respect, but they ended up getting the respect. So I have no issue with them on the 12 line at all. I had them 13th in the South. The 4-13 is the Kansas Jayhawks 22-10 overall, and the Sanford Bulldogs 29-5 overall. KU, I had as a 4 seed in the Midwest region, so not bad. And in Sanford, I had the 13 seed in the Midwest region. So that's another matchup I got correct, but in the wrong region. Or I had, never mind. Yeah, I had them in the East. I had that matchup in the East and said it's in the Midwest. So I got that region wrong. The bottom half of the Midwest bracket, 6 seed South Carolina Gamecocks 26-7 overall, and the 11 seed Oregon Ducks 23-11 overall. South Carolina I had as a 6 seed in the South, and then Oregon I had as an 11 seed in the East. So I had the seeding numbers correctly, but the wrong regions. Different regions, not against each other. Like I did with Kansas, Sanford. And then another matchup I had correct, too. I can't think of what it was. The 3-14 in this region, the Creighton Blue Jays 23-9 overall. And then your 14 seed is the Akron Zips 24-10. Overall, Creighton I thought they should have been a 2 seed. It's an unpopular opinion. But I think they should have been a 2 seed instead of Arizona. I had them as a 2 seed in the East. And then Akron I had as a 13 seed in the Midwest. the 7-10 in this region, the Texas Longhorns 20-12 overall against the winner of the playing game between the Virginia Cavaliers and the Colorado State Rams. Virginia 23-10 overall, Colorado State 24-10 overall. Texas, I had as a 9 seed in the West. I thought they got overseeded because of past performance, and because they're Texas. And then Virginia, I don't think should have been in the field. I had them out, and they got to be in the field because they're Virginia, and they won a national title in 2019. And Colorado State should have been nowhere near Dayton. I don't have that big of a problem with Boise being in Dayton. I have a bigger problem with Colorado State being in Dayton. They have a ton of big wins in non-con play this year. And the theme of the bracket by a lot of experts, and I agree with them, is rewarding non-con performances. And what happened with Colorado State? I think the Mountain West really got disrespected big time, with the exception of San Diego State, who got a respectable seed. So Colorado State had no business being a 10 seed. They are badly underseeded. And then the 2-15 in the Midwest region, your 2 seed is the Tennessee Volunteers, 24-8 overall, and your 15 seed, the St. Peter Peacocks. Remember them from a couple years ago? 19-13 overall. Obviously a different roster than 2 years ago. I don't think anybody is still on that team from 2 years ago, and I know they might be a sneaky 15-2 upset pick because of what everyone remembers from 2 years ago. And I had St. Peter's as a 16 seed. But if Yale lost to Brown, I would have had St. Peter's on the 15 line. I would have. Because Brown would have been playing in Dayton, and I would have had Howard up to a 16. And then Stetson I still would have had as a 16. I would have had St. Peter's as a 15 if that happened. And then Tennessee, I had as the 2 seed in the South region. So, Tennessee, deserving 2 seed, but just had them in the wrong region. And last but not least, the West region, your number 4 overall seed and your number 1 seed in the West region, the North Carolina Tar Heels. There's some controversy about this. I think Carolina deserved it. They won the regular season ACC title, won twice over Duke, bounce back season, and plus they're Carolina, so you knew that they were going to get some favoritism by the committee. And then they'll be playing the winner of Howard Wagner. Howard 18-16 overall, Wagner 16-15. Carolina, I correctly predicted, was going to be the number 4 overall seed and first in the West. And how about this? Howard Wagner is the playing game. I had those 2 teams going to Dayton too, so yours truly correctly predicted the 4 auto bids that were going to Dayton. That I don't think has ever happened. So that's something to add to my resume in terms of picking the bracket. So, except I had Howard playing Grambling and Wagner playing Montana State. And Howard Grambling I had in the South and Wagner Montana State I had in the East. And then Howard Wagner will obviously be in the West. The 8-9 at the bottom left of the bracket, the Mississippi State Bulldogs and the Michigan State Spartans. I have a problem with this bowl. Mississippi State should not be in the field. They're the grossly overseeded, let alone they shouldn't be in the field. They had some weird losses, and I think that the committee respects the SEC a lot, and I think that's because Kentucky and Tennessee and Auburn reside in that conference, in Alabama, and big-name coaches and big-name teams and such, but Mississippi State should not be in the field. And Sparty got badly overseeded. I had them in Dayton as an 11 seed. I had Sparty in Dayton playing Seton Hall. Like, that's a joke. Like, Sparty got a 9 seed because of past reputation, and it's Tom Izzo. Let's be honest about that. So them, Gonzaga, and a couple other teams we'll talk about as well. But yeah, Sparty badly overseeded. The 5-12 in this region is the St. Mary Gales, 26-7 overall, and Grand Canyon, 29-4. St. Mary's I had as a 6 seed in the West, so I don't have an issue with that seeding. And then Grand Canyon I had as a 12 in the Midwest. I think that, wait, is that right? I had them 12 in the Midwest, and they're 12 in the West. So I came close to the nailing Grand Canyon seed. The 4-13 in this region, the Alabama Crimson Tide, 21-11 overall. And the Charleston Cougars, 27-7 overall. Bama, I think, was badly overseeded. I had them as a 7. They had some weird losses this year. So I'm surprised that they were a 4 seed. They're a 4 seed because SEC bias. It's like that it's like football. The football people are doing the bracket with the SEC bias, for crying out loud. And then Charleston I had as a 12 seed in the East. So I don't have an issue with them being a 13. The bottom half of the West region, 6 seed the Clemson Tigers, 21-11 overall, and the New Mexico Lobos, 26-9 overall. Clemson I had as an 8 in the East, so I think they're overseeded. And New Mexico I had as a 10 in the West, but my issue with New Mexico is that they were a bid thief. They should not have been a bid thief. I had them as an at-large. That's not fair. And I think this affected some of these teams that should have been in. And New Mexico, for some reason, was a bid thief. And I think that Drake should have been auto side. James Madison should have been where Drake was. And New Mexico, I don't have an issue with them being an 11 seed, per se, from a seeding standpoint. But my issue here is that they should not have been a bid thief. Although the seeding line is one apart from where I had them and where they landed. All right, the 3 seed is the Baylor Bears, 23-10 overall. And then the 14 seed is Colgate, 25-9 overall. Baylor, I had 3 in the West, so I got that correct. And then Colgate, I had 15 in the Midwest, so I don't have an issue with them being a 14. Last 2 in this region, 7 seed is the Dayton Flyers, 24-7 overall. And the 10 seed is the Nevada Wolfpack. 2 words, Wolfpack, 26-7 overall. Dayton, I had as an 8 seed in the South. And then Nevada, I don't even see Nevada on my chart. Oh, I had them as a 6 seed in the East. I think they got badly underseeded. Nevada had a really good season. They had a good Mountain West season. It's like Utah State. Both those schools in the Mountain West, I think, got badly treated. And if Nevada was out of the field, I would have threw a fit. Because Nevada is really good. And they could have, I think I picked them to win the Mountain West tournament. They're good, and they're for real. And they deserve better than a 10 seed. And then your 2-15 is the Arizona Wildcats, 25-8 overall. And your 15 is Long Beach State, 21-14 overall. Zona, I had the 3 in the Midwest. I don't think they should have been a 2 seed. Too many weird losses. And they lost in the Pac-12 semifinal to Oregon. And then Long Beach State, I had 14 in the West. So 1 off with them. All right, so now without further ado, let's go through the bracket and make some picks. I'm not going to do spread totals. Picks, I'm just going to do straight up. So first four tomorrow evening at 6:30 on True TV. 16 seed in the West Wagner, 16 seed in the West Howard. Winner plays Carolina. I just think that Howard is a better team, and Wagner, neither of these teams were top seeds in their tournament, but I think Howard is the better team. I have them favored by 9 points, so I'm going to advance Howard. The second of two first four games tomorrow night, 10 seed in the Midwest region, Colorado State Rams, and then the 10th seed in the Midwest region, the Virginia Cavaliers. I think that this is a low-scoring game. Virginia, they're just an ugly team. Nobody wants to see them, and I don't think they belong in the field, but I actually have them as a favorite in this game. 5 1/4 to 133 and 13/20. So I'm going to advance Virginia begrudgingly because my numbers say to advance Virginia. And you could argue they have the best guy on the floor in this game in Reese Beekman. First four games on Wednesday, March 20th. 16 seeds in the Midwest, Grambling against Montana State. Montana State is 500, and they were under 500 before they got here. They have no business being a favorite in this game over Grambling. I have Grambling 4 1/4 to 140 and 19/20, so I'm going to advance Grambling. In the last of our first four games, and the second of two on Wednesday the 20th, 10 seeds in the South region, the Colorado Buffaloes and the Boise State Broncos. I project Colorado by 9, total 146 and 720. So I think Colorado is really good, and I just think they underachieved a little bit this season. They have a stud player in KJ Simpson, and I think he's going to kill it. So I'm going to advance Colorado. All right, the first round, Thursday, March 21st. West Region, 19 Michigan State, 18 Mississippi State. Will be played at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't think Mississippi State belongs in the field. I had Sparty and Dayton. So, kind of lucky to be the type of seed. They probably are going to have the best guy on the court in Tyson Walker in this game. So I'm going to project Sparty by 5, total 141 and 928, so I'm going to advance Sparty. Second first round game on March 21st, 11 seed in the East, Duquesne, and 6 seed in the East, BYU. The game will be played at Chi Health Center in Omaha. BYU, pleasant surprise this year. Getting to the tournament in year one, the Big 12. But I think Duquesne is a team that's peaking at the right time. They obviously got off to the slow start in conference play, but they picked it up. Love the best guy on the court in Day Grant, one of my favorite names in the tournament. I have Duquesne as a 5.5 point favorite. Total 144 and a fifth, so I'm going to advance Duquesne. Third first round game of 16 on the 21st. Year 3-14 in the Midwest region. You have Akron as your 14, Creighton as the 3. This game will be played at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, the home of the Penguins. My line's Creighton by 10, total 144 and 13/20. So I'm going to advance Creighton. They obviously have the best guy on the court in this game in Shearman, so I'm going to advance the Blue Jays of Creighton. Next up, your 15-2 in the West region, Long Beach State against Arizona. We played at Delta Center in Salt Lake City, home of the Utah Jazz. My line is Zona by 16, total 156 in the corner, so I'm going to advance Arizona. And then your 116 in the West region. This game will be played at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte. You have 16 seed in the West Howard, 1 seed in the West North Carolina. I project Carolina by 20, so I'm going to advance the Tar Heels. Next up, East region, 14 seed Ward State, 3 seed Illinois. From Omaha, mine's Illinois 7.5, total 148 and 320. So I'm going to advance Illinois. They're the best player on the court in Shannon. They'll move on. Midwest region, 11 seed Oregon, 6 seed South Carolina. From PPG Paints in Pittsburgh, my line is Oregon by 7, total 143 and a 10th. I just think that Oregon is a team that's hot right now. Dana Altman is a proven tournament head coach and has won so many big games in his career. Best guy on the court could very well be N'Faly Dante, so I'm going to advance the Ducks of Oregon. West region, 10 seed Nevada, 7 seed Dayton. From Salt Lake City. I couldn't believe this number when I saw it, and I just went on a rant how Nevada was badly underseeded. Well, they're badly underseeded because somewhat properly seeded Dayton I have projected as an 8-point favorite over Nevada, and Dayton will have the best player on the court in Darnay Holmes. So 142 and a 10th will be the total. Dayton by 8, so I'm going to advance Dayton. Midwest region, 10 seed Virginia, 7 seed Texas. From Spectrum Center. I just need to see something real quick. Okay. So no problem. I project this as a pick'em. And what this came down to for me is who has the best guy on the court in this game. And the answer is easily Max Ombas of Texas. So I'm going to advance the Longhorns. South region, 14 seed Oakland, 3 seed Kentucky. From PPG Paints. Well, that's Kentucky 14.5, total 159 in the 5th. Kentucky should and will advance. Reed Shepherd, best guy on the court. Potentially. Although you could argue a couple different Kentucky players. I just really like Reed Shepherd. And obviously you can make a case for Antonio Reeves. Midwest region, 12 seed McNeese, 5 seed Gonzaga from Utah. Interesting game. I think this is going to be a very popular 12-5 upset pick, and people are like Gonzaga's overseeded, which they are. Don't get me wrong. And I want to pick McNeese to go far in this tournament. But I think the best guy on the court in this game is going to be Graham Mike of Gonzaga. Maybe if Gonzaga's a large enough favorite, I will bet on McNeese, who has a really good player in Shahida Wells. But Gonzaga knows how to win these games, and they're always in the Sweet 16. I have Gonzaga by 4, total 147 to 710, so I'm going to advance Gonzaga. 15 seed East region, South Dakota State against the 2 seed Iowa State in the East region from Omaha. I just want to see something really quick. And ooh. Interesting. I have to make an line adjustment on the fly, which doesn't change my pick, obviously. Iowa State's the better team. They've had a dream season. I have them projected 8.5 total 142, so I'm going to advance the Cyclones. Midwest region, 50 seed St. Peter's, 2 seed Tennessee from Charlotte. Obviously, the best guy on the court in this game will be Dalton Connect. I have Tennessee projected 22.5 total win, 17/20. Sorry, St. Peter's. Would love to see you do it again. You had my state rocking for a couple weeks 2 years ago. And Princeton had it rocking a little bit last year, but not to the extent as the Peacocks did, but it ain't happening again. Not against Connect. Tennessee advances. South Region 11 seed NC State, 6 seed Texas Tech from Pittsburgh. NC State had to win the auto bid to get here. They're a bid thief. Obviously, the what if there is, who's the first out? Is it Seton Hall or Providence? Or no, Providence wasn't close. I think it was Seton Hall. I'm not 100% sure who first out was. But I know Providence and St. John's weren't even close. And I don't think Minnesota was close either. So, NC State has DJ Horn. Tech. I think the coaching match is probably a wash, although I like NC State's coach a little more, but I don't think that will really matter. I think that, but I have Texas Tech 5.5 point favorites, total 147. I'm going to advance Tech. They'll have the best guy on the court in Pop Isaacs, who has one of the best names in the whole tournament. Next up, Midwest Region, 13 seed Sanford, 4 seed Kansas from Utah. All right, this is hard to project because we don't know the status of Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough. If both Kansas guys play, I project Kansas 7.5. If one of them plays, I have it 5. If neither of them play, I have it 2.5. And if neither play, there's a possibility that on the Thursday podcast, I'm going to say I'm picking Sanford to upset Kansas. I'm not quite there yet, but if both guys miss, I am going to consider it big time. And Sanford, great team, very good season. One of the best names in the tournament is Acre. He's one of the best names in the dance. My total projection is 151 and 2/5. I'm going to advance the Jayhawks with the idea that one of those guys, if not both, are back. And I just think that upset pick's too popular right now because of the injuries. In the last first round game of March 21st, East Region, 10 seed Drake, 7 seed Washington State. I love this Drake team. DeVries is an outstanding coach, and his son is arguably the best player in the conference in Tucker DeVries. And Wazoo, dream season for them. They're never really in the tournament. So Kyle Smith, pat on the back for him, who might as well be getting another job, unfortunately, for the Huskies. They're a well-balanced team led by Isaac Jones and Miles Rice. This game's being played in Omaha. But I actually have Drake as a 6-point favorite. Total 146 and a 20th. So I'm going to advance Drake. And I think Drake's actually favored to win the game. All right, March 22nd, first of 16 first-round games. East Region from Barclays Center in Brooklyn. 9 seed Northwestern, 8 seed FAU. I think I'm not surprised at FAU. A lot of people are screaming that they're overseeded. I just thought they were going to be in that range because they're FAU. They have the best guy on the court in John L. Davis. Although, you could argue Northwestern might have the best guy on the court in Bowie, who, obviously, one of the best names in the tournament. And Northwestern, I think, is going to come to play. Chris Collins is a hell of a coach. And obviously, Dusty May is too. But all things considered, I think Northwestern was robbed of an opportunity as they are going to be facing a team that I think has the experience and knows what to do. I have FA by 7, total 149.25, so I'm going to advance Florida Atlantic. Second of 2, 16 first-round games on March 22nd. West Region, 14 seed Colgate, 3 seed Baylor. I project Baylor 5.5 to 142 and 4/5. This game's going to be played at FedEx Forum in Memphis. Baylor's going to advance. I don't see Colgate. Maybe they're competitive, but I have it 5.5. Maybe Baylor wins close. I don't think that's an upset. Next up, East Region 12 seed UAB, 5 seed San Diego State from Spokane Veterans Memorial Arena in Spokane. UAB could be a Cinderella team. Good on them for winning that conference tournament and being a bid thief. It really shook up the tournament. Yaxel Lendeborg, double machine. San Diego State has been there and done that. And I think their seeding reflects that a little bit, although I agree with their seeding. They have the best guy on the court in Jaden Ledee. I only have San Diego State projected by a quarter, so 147 and 720. I thought about pulling the trigger with UAB here, but I just can't bet against San Diego State. I can't do it. So I'm going to advance San Diego State. South Region, 15 seed Western Kentucky, 2 seed Marquette. Tyler Kolek, we'll see if he plays. I have Marquette 12 3/4. If he doesn't play, Marquette 10 3/4. My total here is 150 and 7/10, so I'm going to advance Marquette. And that game, by the way, is going to be played at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indy. Next up, East Region, 16 seed Stetson, 1 seed UConn from Barclays. Oh my God. I know I have an edge on Stetson in the betting because UConn's favored by 26.5. I saw that line. I have it only 18 1/4, so 147 3/4. UConn will advance. They're a better team. They're the reigning champs. Next up, West Region, 11 seed New Mexico, 6 seed Clemson from FedEx Forum. I project Pick'em in 150 and 13/20. This was a hard call. New Mexico should not be a bid thief. We went over that already. Best guy on the court, you could argue Jalen House of New Mexico, or you could argue the big man on Clemson, PJ Hall. But because of the eye test and who's playing well right now, New Mexico's hot. I like to bet on the hot team. I think New Mexico wins and advances. Next up, East Region, 13 seed Yale, 4 seed Auburn from Spokane. Yale had the win at the buzzer to get here. Had Brown won that game, I think they would have been in Dayton, and that would have shook up the bracket a little bit. Danny Wolf will keep Yale potentially hanging around in this spot. I have Auburn projected by 8, total 146.5. And Auburn is a really good team of their own right. Some may argue underseeded. They have the best guy on the court in the game in Johnny Broom. So I'm going to advance Auburn. Next up, first round, 10 seed in the South, Colorado, and then South Region 7 seed, the Florida Gators. Florida is interesting. One of their players is hurt. Micah Handloken, who plays 33 minutes a game for them, sometimes starts. But I don't think that absence is going to matter in this spot. I love this Colorado team. Absolutely love the Colorado team. They have perhaps the best guy on the court in this game in KJ Simpson. I project them 6.5 over the Gators, so I'm going to advance Colorado. And that game's being played at Indy, by the way. Next up, South Region, 9 seed Texas A&M, 8 seed Nebraska from FedEx Forum. I do not think that A&M belonged in the field at all. I think they're an overrated team, and Buzz Williams, to me, is a coach that gets teams to the tournament. But I just think that, he doesn't take his teams to that next level, per se. A&M might have the best guy on the court, Wade Taylor, the fourth almost averaging 19 a game, and then a dream season for Nebraska and Fred Hoiberg. Fred Hoiberg finally in the tournament with Nebraska. Hoiberg probably saved his job this year. Their best player is Kasai Tominaga, averaging almost 15 a game. But Texas A&M has the best guy on the court. I have them giving to total 146 and 13/20. As much as I don't think that A&M belongs in the field, I have them winning a game. How about that? South Region, 13 seed South Vermont, and then 4 seed Duke from Barclays. I don't see Vermont being a threat. Kyle Filipowski, best guy on the court. I project Duke 7.5, total 140 and 17/20. So I'm going to advance the Blue Devils. Next up, Midwest Region, 16 seed Grambling, 1 seed Purdue from Cambridge Fieldhouse. Purdue's so good, Zach Edey. They won't be thinking about Fairleigh Dickinson. They'll be focused. I've been projected by a whopping 23 points. So I'm going to advance Purdue. Next up, West Region, 13 seed Charleston, 4 seed Alabama from Spokane. This is an interesting one. Charleston, obviously, the winners of the Colonial, dominant team in that league. Very well-balanced team led by Rain Smith and Ante Brzgovic. And Bama, very up and down this year. In my opinion, not one of my favorite Nate Oates teams. They have the best guy on the court, though, in Mark Sears. But guess what? I have Charleston projected by 1. Total 162 and 2 fits. Alabama doesn't play a lick of defense. Charleston does. I think Charleston pulls off the 13-4 upset. Next up, South Region, 16 seed Longwood, 1 seed Houston. I said earlier, I think Longwood's underseeded. They're a good 16 seed. Not that Houston's going to be in trouble or anything, but I just think that they have a tough 16 seed. That's all. From FedEx Forum, I have Houston 24.5, total 136 and 3/4. So I'm going to get Houston with ease despite them playing a hard 16 seed. South Region, 12 seed James Madison, 5 seed Wisconsin from Barclays. This is going to be a really interesting game. Wisconsin and Greg Gard in the tournament again. AJ Storr could be the best guy on the court. As I said earlier, I think James Madison got robbed. They should have been on the at-large side of the bracket. They should have been opposite of Drake. Devin Drake arguably should have switched spots. And JMU has the best guy on the court in this game, in Terrence Edwards Jr. at over 17 a game. I actually project James Madison 3.5, total 148 and 3/4. So that's a 12/5 upset with JMU over Wisconsin. Next up, Midwest Region, 9 seed TCU, 8 seed Utah State from Cambridge Fieldhouse and Indy. TCU, yet again here in the tournament with Jamie Dixon. Solid team led by Emmanuel Miller in a really good conference, almost a 16-6 for the Horned Frogs. Utah State dream season. Their coach is probably going to be leaving for another job. And you could argue they have the best guy on the cart here in Great Ozabor. But I have TCU 7.25, total 150 and 9/20. Sometimes if you get underseeded, you get screwed over. And I think that's going to be Utah State's problem, and I think TCU will advance. And I do not think TCU will be favored in the game. So that's going to be a betting upset. And if an upset just in general in the bracket. So I have TCU 7.25, total 150, and 920s. Maybe Utah State's distracted because of their coach. But we'll see. In the last first round game on March 22nd, the last of 32 of them, West Region, 12 seed Grand Canyon, 5 seed St. Mary's. Grand Canyon, I wish, was playing a different team other than St. Mary's. They have a good team. They have a really good player averaging almost 20 a game in Tyle Grant Foster. St. Mary's, really good season. Yet again, Randy Bennett, I just think, needs to prove himself as a tournament coach a little bit. Hasn't been to the Elite Eight in years. Aiden Mahaney, really good player, averaging almost 14 a game. Really good all-around player. I have St. Mary's by 4 to 139, so I'm going to advance St. Mary's. And I think their defense will be the difference. All right, second round. March 23rd. I do not think these will be the order of the games played in terms of TV times, but I just went in the order of how the first round times were and did like the copy paste, So West Region 19 Michigan State, 1 seed Carolina from the Spectrum Center. Carolina has the best guy on the court in RJ Davis in this game. I have Carolina 6.5. They're going to advance. Next up, East Region, 11 seed Duquesne, 3 seed Illinois from Chi Health Center, Omaha. Duquesne's little run comes to an end. Terrence Shannon, best guy on the court. I have Illinois by 4. They'll advance to the Sweet 16. Midwest Region from PG Paints. Midwest Region, 11 seed Oregon, 3 seed Creighton. Creighton has arguably the best 2 guys on the court in this game in Trey Alexander and Baylor Shearman. That's why I had Baylor in my mind because of his name. I have Creighton by 4, so I'm going to advance Creighton, but yours truly is going to be throwing Creighton in moneyline parlays because she has Oregon as the future. Next, West Region, 7 seed Dayton, 2 seed Arizona from the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. Best guy in the game, you could argue Darnay Holmes of Dayton, and you could also argue former North Carolina standout Caleb Love. I have Arizona 3.5, so I'm going to advance the Wildcats. Next up, Midwest Region, 7 seed Texas, 2 seed Tennessee from Spectrum Center. The Rick Barnes Bowl, because Rick Barnes used to coach at Texas, now he's at Tennessee. And I think this would be a perfect opportunity for Rick Barnes to really, bring it to his old team. Komet is the best guy on the court in the game. Connect. I have Tennessee projected by 3.5. This game's going to be played in Charlotte, so I'm going to advance Tennessee. Next up, South Region, 6 seed Texas Tech, 3 seed Kentucky from Pittsburgh. So, a lot of pressure on the Wildcats to do good in the big dance, obviously. Antonio Reed Shepard, best 2 guys on the court, arguably. I projected Kentucky by 5, so I'm going to advance Kentucky. Midwest Region, 5 seed Gonzaga, 4 seed Kansas from Salt Lake City. With or without those guys, I actually have Gonzaga as half-point favorite. So I have Gonzaga advancing with or without the Kansas guys healthy. And I really think that there's no pressure on Gonzaga this year. For right now, obviously. And I think that Ike will be the best guy on the court potentially. Last of 8 second-round games on March 23rd, the Saturday. East Region 10 seed Drake, 2 seed Iowa State from Omaha. I love DeVries, and I love that story with the father's son. In Iowa State, we talked about them a little bit ago, dream season. The guys like Kayshawn Gilbert and Taman Lipsey stepping up. They're all a bunch of good players, but I love this Drake story, and I have Iowa State by 1, and sometimes when my lines are that low of the higher seed, I go with the upset, and that's what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to advance Drake to the Sweet 16 with Tommy DeVries. All right, March 24th, the Sunday, first of 8 second-round games, East Region. 8 seed FAU, 1 seed UConn from Barclays. I think this is where it will prove that Florida Atlantic is a little overrated. I just kind of wish FAU was playing against somebody I have rated higher and has more potential. But do you know what the dream would have been? Them against James Madison. That would have been a lot of fun. But anyway, if UConn is a 6-point favorite, Tristan Newton and Cam Spencer lead the way. And, of course, Alex Caravan. Next up, West Region, 11 seed New Mexico, 3 seed Baylor from FedEx Forum. New Mexico's on a great run right now, but I think that comes to an end against Scott Drew's team, led by Jacoby Walter and Rage Dennis. I have Baylor 3.5 games in Memphis. So I'm going to advance the Bears. Next up, East Region, 5 seed San Diego State, 4 seed Auburn from Spokane. Fun game. Obviously, San Diego State was in the title game last year. Auburn is just awesome. And I feel bad that they're in UConn's region. They have the best guy on the court here in Johnny Broome, so I'm going to advance Auburn. I have them projected 3 3/4 favorite. Next up, South Region, 10 seed Colorado, 2 seed Marquette from Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indy. Who knows about Tyler Kolek and his health? If he's not there, I would actually have Colorado as a 1-point favorite. But with him there, I have Marquette by 1. But I'm going to apply the same rule here as I did with Drake. I'm going to pick the upset and take the Buffaloes into the Sweet 16. And I think that KJ Simpson is going to light up March Madness. South Region from FedEx Forum in Memphis, 9 seed Texas A&M, 1 seed Houston, in-state rivals. We talked about A&M and how I don't think they belong in the field. I think Wade Taylor's really good, but Houston arguably has the best guy on the court in the game, and LJ Cryer. I project Houston by a whopping 13.5. They have the better coach. I trust Kelvin Sampson more so than Buzz Williams, so I'm going to advance Houston. Next up, South Region, 12 seed James Madison, 4 seed Duke from Barclays. Yours truly will probably be Duke money line to hedge James Madison future for the Final Four. They're really good, JMU. And like I said, they should have been an at-large. I think they got screwed over. Edwards Jr. might be the best guy on the court in this game, but I think it's going to be Filipowski. I have Duke by 4, so I'm going to advance the Blue Devils. Next up, second round, March 24th, Midwest Region, 9 seed TCU, 1 seed Purdue from Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I think that Purdue is going to continue to put on a show. Zach Edey especially. I have Purdue by 10, so I'm going to advance Purdue to the Sweet 16. In the last of 16 second-round games, in the last of 8 on March 24th, West Region, 13 seed Charleston, 5 seed St. Mary's from Spokane. We talked about Charleston and well-balanced there. Them and St. Mary's, I think, are very identical teams. But St. Mary's has the more proven coach in Randy Bennett and just a better roster with Mahaney and Augustus Marcelonis. I have St. Mary's by 4, so I'm going to advance the Gales to the Sweet 16. And now the Sweet 16, March 28th, that's a Thursday, will start in the West region. We don't know the times yet for the games, obviously. So, West region, 5 seed St. Mary's, 1 seed North Carolina from LA, Crypto.com Arena. Best guy in the quarter will be RJ Davis. I only have Carolina by 1.5. I'm going to advance the Tar Heels, but I don't feel good about it. And I think the Tar Heels are being disrespected and being everybody's going to bet against them type of team. And the second of 2 regional semifinals in the West region, 3 seed Baylor, 2 seed Arizona. Best guy in the quarter will be Caleb Love of Arizona. Although I like Walker on Baylor, I have Arizona by 5, so I'm going to advance the Wildcats. Next up, the East Regional Semifinals from TD Garden in Boston. 4 seed Auburn, 1 seed UConn. UConn is the more dominant team, led by Newton. I have UConn by 7.5. Although Auburn has a really good player in their own right in Johnny Broom, but I do not think that they'll advance. I have UConn by 7.5 over Auburn. And the other East Region semifinal from TD Garden, 10 seed Drake, 3 seed Illinois. I wanted the Vrij story to keep going, but I think it ends here. Terrence Shannon, best guy on the court. I have Illinois 2.5, so I'm going to advance Illinois to the Elite 8. All right, Friday, March 29th, Sweet 16. The South Regional semifinal from Dallas American Airlines Center to home of the Mavs and the Stars. South Region, 4 seed Duke, 1 seed Houston. Filipowski and Proctor are really good players on Duke. But I think that Houston is far and away better than Duke. I know Shire's been to... Shire hasn't been to a Final Four. That was Coach K's last year. Hubert Davis has been to a national championship game. That's what I had in my mind. But anyway, LJ Cryer could be the best guy on the court, and they also have Jamal Sheed and Emmanuel Sharp. I have Houston by 4, so I'm going to advance the Cougars. The other South Region semifinal, 10 seed Colorado, 3 seed Kentucky. I love Reed Shepherd, and I love Antonio Reeves. They are both really good players to watch. But there's always that surprise team every year that goes far. And I think that's going to be Colorado and KJ Simpson and their coach Todd Boyle, who's going to become a hot commodity. I project Colorado 1.5, and I think they're going to upset the Kentucky Wildcats. And there's going to be some questions in Big Blue Nation about another loss in the tournament as probably a betting favorite in this game, although I would make Colorado a favorite. All right, the Midwest region semifinals from Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. 5 seed Gonzaga and 1 seed Purdue. This is fun. I think this is a really fun matchup. I will probably do Purdue money line because I have a Gonzaga Final Four future. They have a really good roster in Graham Ike and Anthony Watson. But Zach Edey's obviously the best guy on the court. I have Purdue only by 4. So I'm going to advance Purdue. In the last of 4 Sweet 16 games,
for March 29th. Little Caesars Arena, Midwest Region, semifinals. 3 seed Creighton, 2 seed Tennessee. Best guy on the court is going to be Dalton Connect. But I think Creighton's the deeper team with Baylor Schreierman and Tyson Alexander. I have Tennessee by half, but I'm advancing Creighton because I want a little bit of chaos in the bracket. And I can't go completely chalk. All right. The West Regional Final from Crypto.com Arena in LA. 2 seed Arizona, 1 seed North Carolina, the Caleb Love Bowl. I think they did this on purpose, just like they did the Rick Barnes Bowl on purpose. But I'm actually taking Caleb Love's team here to go to the Final Four. I have Arizona 1.5. I'm advancing the Wildcats. The East Regional Final from TD Garden. 3 seed Illinois, 1 seed UConn. Terrence Shannon might be the best guy on the court, but I like UConn's roster better with Cam Spencer and Tristan Newton and Alex Caravan. I have UConn by a whopping 6, so I'm going to advance UConn to the Final Four. The South Regional Final from Dallas, the American Airlines Center, 10 seed Colorado, 1 seed Houston. I think this is where Colorado's magical season comes to an end. Houston has the better roster and the better coach, and Kelvin Sampson. I take him over Tad Boyle. Both really good coaches. LJ Cryer, best guy on the court. I have Houston 6.5, so I'm going to advance the Cougars to the Final Four. And then the Midwest region from Detroit, their regional final, 3 seed Creighton, 1 seed Purdue. Schreierman and Alexander, both really good players. I think Creighton's a deeper team than Purdue, but just can't go against Zach Edey. I have Purdue 4.5, so I'm going to advance Purdue to the Final Four. Finally. I know. All right, Final Four. April 6th from State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, the home of the Arizona Cardinals. Your 2 seed in the West, Arizona, and your 1 seed in the East, UConn. Caleb Love against UConn. UConn's obviously the deeper team with Newton and with Caravan and Spencer. I project UConn 2.5, so I'm going to advance the Huskies to the national championship for the second straight year, and the second of 2 Final Four games on April 6th. Midwest region, 1 seed Purdue, and the South region, 1 seed Houston. I have Houston by half, but I'm going to advance Purdue because they have the best guy on the court in Zach Edey. All due respect to Kelvin Sampson and LJ Cryer. And then last but not least, the national championship game from State Farm Stadium in Glendale on Monday, April 8th. 1 seed in the Midwest, Purdue, and 1 seed in the East, UConn. Like, I love Spencer, Newton, and Caravan. They're great players. But this Purdue team reminds me of Virginia in 2019. You lose to a 16 seed, and you come back the next year and win a championship. That would be one hell of an accomplishment for Matt Painter and that Purdue program. And like I said, Zach Edey is the best player in the country, hands down. But they have other good players. Braden Smith's a good player. Lance Jones, good player. And Fletcher Lawyer, good player. So the roster's better around Edey. I have UConn by a half, but I'm going to predict that the Purdue Boilermakers win the 2024 NCAA tournament. So Purdue will be your national champions, as they will do what Virginia did. And that is go all the way after losing to a 16 seed as the number 1 overall seed. So
there you have it for the bracket predictions. I'd love to do futures right now, but maybe we'll do that on a show tomorrow, and maybe I'll give one out for the portfolio on tomorrow's regular show as well. Hope you guys enjoyed it, everyone.